Alright, this is just a quick review of how to input, just as a reminder. So what I've given you here is a very short program. Everything at the top is pretty much the same. I have an integer called number, I have a double called cost, and a string called name. So remember, when you enter a name, when you input a name, you will always use the getLine statement, and I'm going to show you an example without the getLine and with the getLine. And when you enter anything, you should always have this prompt. So this line right here that we've typed with the cout is called a prompt. And it's just simply used to tell the user what you want them to do. And without that prompt, you're not really sure why the computer's pausing for a second. And I'll show you an example of what happens when you don't have the prompt. And then what we have down here with these cout statements, this is where you're just outputting your data. And so remember, when you output your data, that you also want to have some sort of prompt that says what's being outputted. Don't just simply output the name or output the number. Make sure you have a prompt for it. So let me run this for you and show you what happens. So you'll notice on this example I can type a name like John Doe, and the student number is 1234, and the cost is 23.56, and you'll notice that it says your name is John Doe, the student number is 1234, and your cost is 23.56. So it's very clear what's being outputted and how it's being outputted. So if I were to do a couple things here, I'm going to mess up twice. So I'm going to take out that prompt, and I'm going to take out the getLine, and I'm going to put it back to a cin, and now I want you to see what happens. Actually, I'm going to leave this prompt in there because it's not really going to matter. So now when I debug it, you'll notice that it says, okay, so I type John Doe, and the whole program crashes because what's happening is it's trying to read just until the space. So remember, the cin statement will only read to the space. So it reads John as the name, and then it's not quite sure what to do with this word Doe, so it sort of throws it in here as the number and the cost. And notice right here it says the name is John, but then it gives you these unusual numbers for the cost and the student name. So we're going to put the getLine back in. So remember, with strings, you're always going to use getLines. And then I'm going to take out one of these prompts just so you see what happens. So with this, I can also type just John. Now it'll work. I can type John Doe also. So here's my student number, and then I pressed enter, but the computer's just sitting there waiting, and I don't know what it's waiting for because there's no prompt to tell me what to do. Now I know because of what I did earlier that I'm supposed to type the cost, but there was no prompt. So again, to sum it all up, when you're dealing with strings, you always use the getLine statement. Whenever you're inputting, you always have prompts to tell the person what they want to enter. And whenever you're outputting, you will always have identifying information or prompts to tell the person what to output. I hope this helps.